Hi, it's Rachel with the Break Free Podcast, and I am here with Susan.
Hello.
And we are just going to talk about breaking free. We're going to talk all things confidence. So I am excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
If you guys follow me at all, you know that Susan's actually a really good friend of mine. So we might get a little goofy here. That's okay. We're just going to let this, just let it go. Right? Just let it happen. I really fishy breath and I'm sitting really close to her.
God.
I just thought about it. I'm like,
give this girl a mint. Good Lordy.
Oh, okay. So let's kick it off. Please tell them, who are you? I mean, I know who you are, but who are you and what do you do? And like, yeah.
This is a tough question. I've been thinking about it because I just had a change of roles in my life, flipped my world upside down this year. But let me try this on for you guys. I am Susan Hay. I am a confidence and goals coach and a you do you advocate.
Love it. I love it. That was awesome.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, I've been in the beauty business for 20 years. And so this last year I sold my salon and stepped into a new role. And I'm kind of a beginner again, in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, she thinks that. I'd say I hear from people all the time how much you're crushing it and how amazing you are. And I mean, it is a true honor to be one of Susan's friends, and I'm excited for you guys to hear from her today on more of what she just said. So dive into a little more of, well, first let's do our quick draw. Okay. So what is your favorite book?
I love that book, You're a Badass.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Jen Sincero?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a good starter book into discovering your inner badass and confidence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. That is one of my top. If anybody asks me what's the book I should be reading and they're just beginning into their transformation, You Are a Badass.
Yeah, it's a good one. And I know she has a calendar and yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and then what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote, I have two. I think you're going to like these. One is from John C. Maxwell. It's "The dream is free, but the journey will cost you something." I love that saying. And then the other one is, "You didn't come this far to come this far."
That is my favorite quote, you guys.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's no wonder we're friends.
Yes.
Okay. And then what is your favorite podcast?
Ooh, okay. John C. Maxwell, I binge listened to him. And I mean, I have a handful of other ones too, but I would say I always go back to the leadership podcast that he puts out, which is so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Without a doubt, if you guys are not if you're interested in learning more about leadership and you're not listening to that podcast, it is the top one that I would tell you to go to listen.
Oh yeah. I've had episodes that I've listened to multiple times. Just can't get enough.
So good. He does a really good one with Rachel Hollis.
Yes. I think that you're the one that introduced me to his podcast, and it was the Rachel Hollis one that you sent to me. And I was like, oh, this is good. That might've been the one where he talks about how the dream is free, but the journey is going to cost you something. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's 100%.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on video, how stinking cute is Susan?
Well, first of all, I'm getting over a cold. This is my dirty hair day.
She even wears that cough. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that really?
Yeah. So anytime you see me with a headband on, it's probably a dirty hair day. And people think it's cute, but I'm like, well, I'm just trying to cover up the dirty.
It looks really good. How many headbands do you have?
I mean, are there ever too many? The answer is
we want to
no.
know. We want to know. Okay. Okay. So what does break free mean to you?
Well, I think for me, because I defined it earlier this year when you really started to dive into that, it's about breaking free from self-doubt. For me personally, that's been my journey this last year, is breaking free from self-doubt so that you can step into your most authentic voice and confidence. True confidence, conscious confidence.
Yes. Yes. I love break free because it means something different to everybody,
Yeah.
depending on where you are in your life.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I could see it maybe meaning something different to me next year.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not in 2020 because I'm setting up that vision for 2020, but maybe 2021 it means something different, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd say it changes for me. When I first thought about it, it's definitely changed for me since the first time I thought about it. So, how do you break free?
Ooh, okay. Couple ways. And you've probably heard me talk about this, but the biggest thing that holds me back from breaking free is Sybil. She is my inner bully. She is my inner doubt. And she speaks to me. She tells me, you're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You're not experienced enough. You're not funny enough. And so when she speaks to me, I tell her to shut the F up. And then I match her and I raise her I am smart enough. Actually, I have quite a bit of experience. And I think oftentimes we hear that inner voice and we just believe it. Like we don't even question it. And so that's probably the single biggest way that I break free is now countering my inner bully. And I have one other way too. And that is I really try to stay away from negativity. And so there's a few ways that I do that. Social media, I don't follow accounts that make me feel less than. I stay away from people that make me feel less than. And I've definitely had to deep dive into that one this year and clean house a little bit.
And I think that at the end, when I ask you what tools they can take away and utilize in there, I hope that that's in there because that's so important.
Yes.
Time is so important, and the time that we spend, if we're spending time on social media looking at negative things and it's making us feel negative, we should really be evaluating that.
Of course. Yeah.
So, how do you help others with how you break free, how you bring joy to your life?
How do I help others?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have found joy in your life. Okay. How do you help others find that same joy in their lives?
I try to show up as a bright light. And so part of that for me is a belief that I adopted when I had my light bulb moment, that I had a choice. I had a choice that I could step into self-love. And at the time I didn't know it wasn't a destination, that it was going to be a journey. But I adopted a belief that I had to spread the torch of self-love to as many other women, humans as possible, so they could have their light bulb moment. So I do that by showing up authentically, like raw. Like some of the things that I post and talk about are very uncomfortable. Like as soon as I post it, I'm like, just delete that. That was a bad idea. But then I find out from people that they needed that message. So that kind of helps me in my own healing process. But also I know that I'm saying something that someone else out there is also thinking on that same day.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, self-love. That's showing your self-love of like, I am perfectly imperfect. Right?
Yeah.
And I love like loving yourself for who you are and being okay with that. Right?
Yes, because it's not just about body. I think a lot of times we attach self-love and body positivity to the same conversation. But what I discovered this last year is that self-love also shows up in the form of grace when you F up with a friend or you mess up with your kids. I mean, the mom guilt sets in. That's where grace comes in, when that self-love is present.
Absolutely. So what tools can you give to our listeners that they can implement in their lives right now today to, in confidence and self-love in those areas?
All right. Well, I already gave you two. I got ahead of myself. So one is counter that self-doubt with the opposite of what that is. So, I'm not experienced enough. I have a voice. I belong here. That's from Jackie Carr. That's something that she's really put into my head and into my gray matter this year. But Number 2 is stay away from negative people. So set those boundaries.
Mhm.
And I think, I have a whole list of beauty commandments as I talk about redefining beauty, but I think that comparison game that comes up that we talk about, we can't do it. When we catch ourselves doing it, we have to bring it back to us. We need to stay in our own lane, stay focused on us, and almost have tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, do you really feel like doing those things? Because I can tell you, so many people are wondering, how do I find confidence? Like, I want to be as confident. If you guys start following her on social media, which we'll talk about all that at the end, but you'll notice, and a lot of people reach out to Susan and ask her, like, how did you get so confident? So, do you feel like doing those things brings more confidence into your life?
So my other tip is you have to step outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like you have to always be stepping outside of your comfort zone to flex that confidence muscle, and it gets stronger with time. It really, really does. But you have to do the work. You have to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I do believe that if we do that, then we see like it's not that scary. Like it's scary, and we most of the time we think that we're scared because we think somebody else is watching.
Yeah.
Which they're not. Everybody's caught up in their own shadow side stuff.
It is 1,000,000% true.
Yeah.
We often think so many more people are, watching everything we're doing, everything we say, like everything that is going on in our lives when they're busy with their own lives.
Yeah. They've got their own stuff that they're worried about.
Yeah. Yeah. They're sitting there thinking the exact same thing.
Yes.
But we're all living in our own realities. Yeah. So those were really great pieces of advice. And I love that about this podcast, in giving people in this short amount of time that we're meeting, how can you implement these things in your life to break free, to feel joy, to make your life better. And so Susan, tell everybody how they can find you. Okay. And what are you up to?
Okay. So my website is damonhart.com. My Instagram handle is damonhart. So Damon Hart is the personal brand that I started last year. I didn't know that it was going to turn into confidence and goals coaching, but I've got some fun stuff on the horizon. I've got a collaboration in the works with my husband. And also some fun confidence and business programs that I'll be launching in 2020.
So make sure to go follow Susan. You will not regret it. And Susan, thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast today.
You're my ride or die. I will always be there.
Thank you for listening to the Break Free podcast by Fitness Festival Events. You can find our website at fitnessfestivalevents.com, where you can learn more about the events we have coming up, our Break Free community, and much more. For Instagram and Facebook, find us at Fitness Festival Events, or for our community, Break Free Community. For Rachel, you can find her on Instagram at rachel.pastor, and email rachel@fitnessfestivalevents.com.